Your family needs you, son.
Well, the Jackson family's crooked. They ain't ranchers. They're thieves.
I need you ready for the hard parts when they come. Because they're coming.
Everything in Dutton Ranch was already on the edge. But Episode 8 doesn't just push it further, it feels like it completely breaks the balance. One decision, one collapse, and one return from the past is enough to turn the entire ranch into a place nobody can control anymore. Episode 8 picks up right after the most shocking moment from the last episode, where Bula suddenly collapses in front of everyone during the anniversary celebration. At first, nobody fully understands what just happened, but the silence in that moment says everything. The most powerful person in the entire ranch, the one who always controlled every situation, is now lying powerless, while everyone around her is forced to face a reality they never wanted to imagine. Everett stays right beside her, trying to keep things under control, but even he looks shaken, because this is not just a medical emergency, it feels like a shift in power that nobody was ready for. And that is where Episode 8 truly begins, not with action, but with tension, because when leadership disappears suddenly, chaos doesn't wait for permission to enter. At the same time, Rob Will is in a completely different mindset. For him, Bula's collapse is not just shocking, it feels like opportunity. Everything he has wanted for years, everything he felt was taken from him, now suddenly seems within reach. The problem is, power given too early never creates stability, it creates mistakes. And Rob Will is not thinking about responsibility, he is thinking about control. The trailer hints that he steps forward with confidence that does not feel earned, more like forced confidence, the kind that comes from finally getting what you wanted without understanding the weight of it. This is where things start to feel dangerous, because when someone like Rob Will believes they have won too soon, they usually stop listening to reason completely. Meanwhile, Waqen is forced into the most frustrating position he has ever been in. He knows exactly how things should be handled, he understands the ranch better than most people around him, and yet he is pushed back into silence. Watching Rob Will take decisions that feel unstable and emotional becomes a slow mental torture for him. It is not just about disagreement anymore, it is about helplessness. The ranch is moving in a direction he can clearly see is wrong, but he no longer has the authority to stop it. That kind of pressure builds quietly, and the trailer suggests that Waqen's patience may finally reach a breaking point, not through loud rebellion, but through a calm realization that things cannot continue like this for long. What makes Episode 8 even more intense is how every character seems trapped in a different kind of fear. Bula is fighting for survival, Rob Will is fighting for control, Waqen is fighting for stability, and everyone else is just trying to understand who they can trust. There is no clear enemy here anymore, only shifting intentions and unstable power. Even the ranch itself feels different, almost like it is holding its breath, waiting to see who breaks first. And in the middle of all this, the memory of past choices, especially Bula's decisions regarding Rob Will, continues to haunt every situation. Nothing feels separate anymore, everything is connected, and Episode 8 seems ready to expose those connections in the most uncomfortable way possible. If Bula does survive, the trailer suggests her return will not bring immediate relief. Instead, it may create even more pressure, because coming back into a situation that has already changed without you is never easy. The ranch she controlled may no longer respond the same way to her voice. And that alone sets the stage for something even bigger, a complete shift in who actually holds power going forward. As Episode 8 continues to unfold, the real tension slowly shifts from survival to control. Bula's condition becomes the silent center of everything, even when she is not physically present in the action. The uncertainty around her survival creates a strange vacuum in the ranch, and in that vacuum, people start revealing who they truly are. Rob Will, now believing he has finally stepped into the position he always wanted, begins making decisions with a level of confidence that feels more emotional than strategic. He is not carefully building authority, he is trying to prove that he deserves it, and that difference becomes dangerous very quickly. Every choice he makes seems rushed, almost like he is trying to silence his own doubts by acting louder than them. But power does not respond well to desperation, and the trailer clearly hints that his early moves could create cracks that will be impossible to hide later. At the same time, Waqen's frustration starts to evolve into something deeper. It is no longer just disagreement, it becomes a quiet understanding that the ranch is slipping into a phase of instability that cannot be corrected from the sidelines. Watching decisions being made that ignore structure, experience, and warning signs forces him into a position where silence becomes its own kind of pressure. The trailer suggests that Waqen may reach a point where he is no longer willing to simply observe, even if it risks conflict with Rob Will. Because sometimes, the hardest conflict is not against an enemy, but against the system that refuses to listen to logic until it is too late. Meanwhile, Bula's collapse continues to cast a long shadow over everything. Even if she survives, the emotional and physical cost of what happened changes her role completely. The trailer subtly suggests that recovery will not just be about healing but about reassessing everything she built and the people she trusted to hold it together. There is a strong sense that when she returns, she will not find the same ranch she left behind, and that realization alone could reshape her decisions moving forward. Her authority, once absolute, now feels fragile, and fragility in a place like this is never just personal, it becomes political, very quickly. And then there is the underlying tension between all three forces: Bula's legacy, Rob Will's ambition, and Waqen's control over reality. Each one represents a different version of leadership, and Episode 8 seems ready to force them into collision. The trailer does not promise peace or balance, it promises consequence. Every action taken in this episode feels like it will carry forward into something much bigger, something that cannot be undone easily. Even Beth and Rip's presence adds another layer of unpredictability, because they are not emotionally tied to internal power struggles, but they are deeply sensitive to threats and instability. If things spiral too far, they are the kind of force that steps in only when damage is already done. By the end of the trailer breakdown, one thing becomes clear. Episode 8 is not just about what happens next, it is about what cannot be reversed anymore. Decisions are being made in a moment of weakness, power is shifting in unstable hands, and the ranch itself is entering a phase where survival depends less on strength and more on timing. And in that kind of environment, even a single wrong step can change everything permanently. As Episode 8 builds toward its end, everything feels like it is heading into a point of no return. Bula's condition still hangs over the entire ranch like a shadow that nobody can ignore. Even if she survives, the damage is already done in ways that go far beyond physical recovery. The power structure she built is no longer stable, and everyone around her is now forced to operate in a world where her control is uncertain. That uncertainty is what makes everything more dangerous, because when people stop being sure about leadership, they start making decisions based on fear, instead of logic. Rob Will, on the other hand, is standing in a position he always wanted but never truly understood. The trailer strongly suggests that his confidence will not last long, because power without experience always starts to crack under pressure. He may believe he has finally taken control of the ranch, but the reality is that control is not just about being in charge, it is about holding everything together when things start falling apart. And Episode 8 seems ready to test him in exactly that way. The early signs of mistakes, impatience, and emotional decision-making are already there, and the more he tries to prove himself, the more unstable everything around him becomes. Waqen's situation adds another layer of quiet tension. He is not fighting for attention, he is fighting against silence. He can see exactly where things are going wrong, but he is trapped in a position where speaking too much or acting too early could cost him everything. That kind of pressure builds slowly, and when it finally breaks, it usually changes everything around it. The trailer makes it feel like his breaking point is not far away, and when it comes, it will not be loud, but it will be meaningful. And then, there is the bigger picture. The ranch itself is no longer just a setting, it feels like a system under stress. Every character is connected to it, and every decision now carries consequences that stretch further than anyone expects. Episode 8 is not just continuing the story, it is pushing every character into a situation where they have to face the results of everything that has already happened. Nothing feels temporary anymore, everything feels like it is leading to a permanent shift. So as we head into this episode, the real question is not who wins or who loses, but who survives the changes that are already in motion. Because once control starts slipping, it rarely comes back the same way again. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives, episode analysis, and trailer breakdowns just like this. Drop your thoughts in the comments too, I want to know what you think will happen next in Dutton Ranch episode 8. And I will see you in the next video.